We all crave happiness, don't we? But how often do we find ourselves searching for it in the wrong places? How many times have we thought that the next big thing, whether it's a promotion, a new purchase, or a goal reached, will be the one to finally bring us that sense of contentment? We work harder, chase success, and try to fill our lives with more and more, believing that happiness is just one step away. But what if the real secret to happiness isn't something we can buy, achieve, or find outside of ourselves? This is where the wisdom of the Buddha comes in. His teachings reveal a deeper truth. Happiness isn't something we find in the world around us. It's not tied to external achievements or possessions. True happiness, the kind that lasts, is an inner state. It's cultivated through the way we think, the choices we make, and the attitudes we hold. Have you ever wondered why, despite all that we have or achieve, the sense of peace we seek can sometimes feel just out of reach? What if the key to finding lasting joy lies not in pursuing more, but in changing the way we approach life itself? The Buddha's timeless teachings offer a path to reconnect with that deep well of peace and joy that already exists within us. In this video, we'll explore 9 powerful Buddhist teachings that have the potential to transform your life. These teachings can guide us toward happiness no matter what life brings our way. So let's embark on this journey together, towards a more joyful and fulfilling life, one moment at a time. Are you ready to find the peace and happiness that's already inside you? Let's begin. 1. Focus on the present moment. How often do we find ourselves trapped in the endless cycle of regret, replaying past mistakes, or consumed by worries about what might happen tomorrow? Our minds seem to race, don't they? We spend so much time thinking about things that have already happened, things we can't change, or imagining a future we can't control. The weight of these thoughts can feel heavy, as though we're constantly carrying the past or the future on our shoulders. But have you ever stopped to wonder how much we miss when we're stuck in that cycle? How many precious moments slip away unnoticed because our minds are elsewhere? The Buddha taught us something so simple, yet profound. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. It's a teaching that sounds so simple, but we often forget it in the busyness of life. We get so caught up in what's happened or what might come next that we forget to truly experience what's happening right here, right now. Have you ever found yourself so lost in thought that you missed the beauty of a moment? Like the warmth of the sun on your skin or the joy of a shared laugh with a friend? These moments, though fleeting, are the heart of life itself. Yet they pass by unnoticed when our minds aren't fully present. Think about it for a second. When was the last time you truly felt the world around you? Not just moving through your day, but fully absorbing it, being aware of each breath, each sensation. Maybe it was the sound of the wind rustling through the trees or the stillness of the evening as the day fades away. These small moments are where true happiness lies, yet we often overlook them in the rush to get to the next thing. If we could only slow down and allow ourselves to be fully present, we would realize that happiness is not a distant goal or something to be chased. It's here, in the present, waiting for us to notice it. So what if, just for today, you let go of the past and the future and simply focused on the present moment? What if you allowed yourself to really feel the simple things, like the warmth of your cup of tea, the softness of the chair you're sitting in, or the sound of someone's voice as they speak to you? It might feel strange at first, but this small shift can bring a sense of peace and joy that you might not have realized was there all along. Each moment holds something beautiful, something worth experiencing, and the only way to truly appreciate it is by being here, now. 2. Detach from desire. How often do we find ourselves caught in the endless chase for more? More success, more money, more things, more approval. We live in a world that tells us we need more, that happiness is always just one step ahead, waiting for us to catch up. But when was the last time you truly asked yourself, will more really make me happy? Or does it just make me feel emptier, like a hole that can never be filled? In Buddhism, detachment doesn't mean rejecting all the beautiful things life has to offer. It's not about denying ourselves joy or pleasure. Instead, it's about freeing ourselves from the grip of attachment, the kind of attachment that tells us if we just get that one thing or reach that one goal, then we'll be happy. The Buddha teaches us that when we hold on to desires too tightly, when we let them control us, we end up creating our own suffering. Think about a delicate flower in your hand. It's soft, beautiful, fragile. If you squeeze it too hard, the petals will break, the fragrance will fade, and what was once beautiful is lost. But if you hold it gently, allowing it to rest naturally in your hand, you can admire its beauty without fear of losing it. The flower remains whole, vibrant, and full of life, just like our desires when we don't try to grip them too tightly. Our desires are much like that flower. When we hold on to them with an iron grip, constantly chasing after them as if they'll give us lasting happiness, we risk breaking them. We risk breaking ourselves. We end up feeling stressed, anxious, and always wanting more, but never truly feeling satisfied. But when we release that grip, when we stop attaching our happiness to the next possession, achievement, or approval, we begin to experience peace. We can enjoy the moment for what it is, without constantly thinking of what's next or what's missing. Think for a moment about the things you crave most. The things you think will bring you happiness. Are you holding on to them so tightly that you've begun to feel the pressure? Maybe it's a career milestone, a certain image of yourself, or even the approval of others. Ask yourself, what would happen if you let go of the need for these things to define you? What if you could simply experience life as it is, without that constant yearning for more? The moment you stop clutching, the moment you let go of your attachment to outcomes, you open yourself to a deeper peace. It's in that space of release that true happiness can begin to grow. Quietly, gently, and with freedom. When we stop believing that happiness lies in the next thing we achieve or acquire, we start to realize that it's already here, in the simplicity of letting go. 3. Practice right speech. Words are powerful. Think about it. How often do the words we say impact the way we feel or the way others feel? Words can uplift us, bring us closer to one another, or they can tear us apart. Have you ever had someone speak to you in such a way that it brightened your day, or maybe even changed your perspective? On the other hand, have you ever been hurt by something someone said, even if it was unintentional? The Buddha understood the power of words, and he taught us to use them wisely. Right speech, as the Buddha teaches, is more than just speaking the truth. It's about speaking with intention, kindness, and compassion. Every word we utter has the potential to shape our reality and our relationships with others. How often do we stop to consider the impact of our words before we speak them? How often do we ask ourselves, is this the truth? Is it kind? Will it help the other person? The Buddha encouraged us to pause and reflect before we speak. Think about it. Gossip, lies, and harsh words can create walls between us, leading to misunderstanding, pain, and division. We've all been there, right? A conversation that starts off simple can quickly spiral into negativity, with words flying that we later regret. But kindness and honesty, on the other hand, are like bridges. They build trust, create understanding, and deepen connections. Take a moment today to notice how your words are affecting the people around you. When you speak, do you think about the tone you're using? Do you notice how your words either create a sense of peace or stir up tension? The way we speak matters, not just to others, but to ourselves as well. Have you ever noticed how speaking kindly makes you feel lighter, more at peace? It's like a reflection of the kindness you're giving to others, returning to you. So today, try to speak with more intention. Before you speak, pause for a second and ask yourself, is this kind? Is this helpful? Let your words be a tool for healing, not harm. Words can be a gift, a bridge to understanding, or a balm for someone's heart. When we choose our words carefully, we create an environment of compassion, understanding, and connection. And in doing so, we not only change our relationships, but also cultivate peace within ourselves. 4. Cultivate gratitude. The Buddha once said, "Let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die." These words are simple, yet they carry a deep truth. How often do we find ourselves caught up in what's missing in our lives? How many times do we focus on the things we don't have, or the goals we haven't achieved, and forget to acknowledge what we already possess? Even on the most difficult days, there is always something to be grateful for. It's easy to overlook, but if we just pause and take a breath, we'll realize how much beauty surrounds us. The quiet moments, the small joys that, when we pay attention, transform the ordinary into something extraordinary. Imagine waking up to the sound of birds singing, feeling the warmth of the sun on your face, or having a hot cup of tea in the morning as you sit in silence. These might seem like small, fleeting things, but they are the very things that make life rich and full. The ability to see, to hear, to taste, to breathe, these are not small blessings. They are the essence of life itself. When we start to focus on them, when we shift our gaze from what's missing to what's already here, something within us shifts. We find peace in the present moment. We begin to see that happiness doesn't come from constantly striving for more, but from fully experiencing and appreciating what we have right now. Gratitude doesn't require grand gestures. It's in the small things, the little moments that we often overlook. It's in the smile of a stranger, the hug from a friend, the warmth of a meal shared with loved ones. It's in the quiet moments of solitude when we allow ourselves to simply be. When we choose to be grateful for what we have, rather than focusing on what we don't, we change our entire perspective on life. We stop chasing after something that seems always just out of reach and start embracing the abundance that's already here. Take a moment today to pause and notice the things you're grateful for. It could be the sound of laughter, the sight of a sunset, or simply the fact that you're here today, alive and breathing. When we make gratitude a habit, we begin to see the world differently. Every day becomes an opportunity to recognize the beauty in the small things and to honor the blessings we already have. It's in these quiet moments of gratitude that we find the peace and contentment we've been seeking all along. 5. Embrace simplicity. In today's world, we're constantly told that success and happiness are tied to accumulating more possessions, more achievements, more recognition. We live in a culture that celebrates more as the path to fulfillment. The bigger house, the latest gadget, the next promotion. We're led to believe that happiness is just a step away, that when we reach the next milestone or acquire the next thing, then we'll finally feel at peace. But have you ever stopped to wonder if this constant chase for more is truly bringing us the happiness we seek? Or is it just leaving us feeling emptier, like we're running on a treadmill, always moving, but never really getting anywhere? The Buddha teaches us that true happiness isn't found in having more, it's found in needing less. He points out that the root of suffering is attachment. We cling to people, possessions, and experiences, thinking they will bring us lasting joy. We hold on so tightly to these things, believing they define our worth or happiness, but the tighter we grip, the more we suffer. The more we try to control and accumulate, the more anxious we become. But what if the key to happiness is not in the pursuit of more, but in the gentle act of letting go? Imagine, just for a moment, if you didn't feel the constant need to add more things to your life. What if instead of looking ahead to the next thing, you took a step back and allowed yourself to be content with what you already have? Can you picture what it would feel like to breathe easier, without the pressure to do, have, or be more? Living simply doesn't mean giving up joy or excitement. In fact, it means embracing peace. Peace with what is, not with what we don't yet have. Simplicity doesn't rob us of fulfillment. It opens the door to deeper, more meaningful happiness. Have you ever looked around and realized how many things you're holding on to, not because they truly bring you joy, but because you feel like you need them? Whether it's physical items, social validation, or goals that have lost their meaning, we all carry things we think will fill us up. But what if we could let go of some of that weight? What if we chose to simplify just one area of our life? Whether it's decluttering our space or letting go of the need to constantly prove ourselves. What would it feel like to be free of that constant craving for more? When we learn to embrace simplicity, we start to see life in a different light. We stop measuring our worth by what we own or achieve and start to appreciate the beauty in the present moment. Happiness is no longer something to chase. It becomes something we experience right here, right now, in the things we already have. The quiet moments, the meaningful relationships, the little joys that we often overlook. By letting go of the need for more, We make space for contentment. We allow ourselves to breathe, to be still, and to feel the peace that comes with knowing that enough is already here. 6. Practice compassion. Compassion is one of the most powerful and transformative gifts we can offer, not just to others, but to ourselves as well. We often think of compassion as something we give to others when they're in need. But have you ever considered that showing compassion to yourself is just as important? When we approach ourselves and others with kindness and understanding, we create deeper, more meaningful connections and free ourselves from the weight of judgment and resentment that can hold us back from true happiness. There's a story about a young monk who was struggling with deep regret and fear. His mind was always clouded by thoughts of past mistakes and worries about the future. One day, his teacher pointed to a tree outside and said, "Look at that tree. It doesn't worry about what's past or what will come. It simply exists in this moment." The monk realized that true peace didn't come from dwelling on past mistakes or fearing the unknown future. It came from being fully present and from extending kindness and compassion to others and himself. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves caught up in the negative thoughts of the past or the anxiety about the future? How often do we hold on to resentment, judgment, or guilt, letting those feelings weigh us down? The truth is, the more we practice compassion, the more we let go of these burdens. Compassion frees us from the need to be perfect, from the expectations we place on ourselves and others. It invites us to be present, to connect, and to embrace the beauty of simply being, without the constant worry or judgment. Think about someone in your life who could really use your compassion today. Maybe it's a friend who is going through a tough time, a family member who feels distant, or even a stranger who's in need of kindness. How can you show them compassion without expecting anything in return? Compassion doesn't always have to be a grand gesture. It could be as simple as listening without judgment, offering a kind word, or just being there for someone in silence. The act of giving compassion, even in small ways, has a powerful effect. It doesn't just bring peace to the other person, it brings peace to us as well. When we choose to practice compassion, we open our hearts. We release the grip of fear and resentment, and in doing so, we invite more happiness, more peace, and more love into our lives. Compassion is a practice, and like any practice, the more we do it, the more natural it becomes. So what small act of compassion can you offer today? It may seem simple, but it has the power to transform both you and the world around you. Embrace the middle way. The Buddha teaches us that true happiness doesn't lie in extremes, but in balance. How often do we find ourselves caught in the swing between two opposites, indulgence and deprivation, constant action and complete stillness? We either push ourselves too hard, believing we need to be perfect or achieve everything, or we give in to our desires, thinking that satisfaction lies in more. But what if the key to lasting happiness isn't found at the ends of these extremes, but somewhere in between? The middle way, as taught by the Buddha, is the path of moderation. It's about finding a balance between pleasure and restraint, between doing and being. It's a way of living that doesn't ask us to deny ourselves the joys of life, but also doesn't encourage us to chase after them endlessly. It invites us to live with mindfulness, simplicity, and harmony. When we live in balance, we learn to appreciate life without being overwhelmed by our desires or trapped by rigid rules. We stop searching for fulfillment in things that are fleeting and start finding joy in the present moment. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly at peace? Was it when you overindulged in something, or when you pushed yourself to the brink of exhaustion? Or was it when you found a peaceful moment? A small balance between doing and being, between wanting and having enough. The middle way reminds us that true peace comes from moderation, from allowing ourselves to enjoy life without letting it control us. Take a moment today to think about the areas in your life where you might be swinging between extremes. Are you overindulging in something, whether it's food, work, or entertainment? Or perhaps you're being too strict with yourself, setting unrealistically high expectations or depriving yourself of things that bring joy. What would it look like to find balance in these areas? Try to practice moderation today, whether it's by allowing yourself to rest, enjoying something in moderation, or simply letting go of a rigid rule that doesn't serve you. take small steps towards a more balanced life. Living the middle way isn't about perfection. It's about being aware of the present moment and making mindful choices. When we embrace balance, we free ourselves from the extremes that create unnecessary suffering, and we create space for true peace and happiness to enter our lives. So, ask yourself, where can you find more balance today? Where can you stop swinging between extremes and start living with more harmony? 8. Meditate. Daily meditation is one of the most powerful tools we have for cultivating peace and happiness. But how often do we truly make time for it? In our busy lives, it's easy to overlook the simple act of sitting quietly and turning our attention inward. We're constantly running from one task to the next, distracted by the noise of our surroundings and the constant chatter in our minds. But have you ever stopped to think about what might happen if we took just a few minutes each day to simply be, to step away from the chaos and rest in stillness? When we meditate, we allow ourselves the space to detach from our thoughts, rather than letting them control us. Our thoughts are like waves on the surface of the ocean. They come and go, often without our consent. But meditation teaches us to observe those thoughts without getting swept away by them. Instead of reacting to every thought or emotion, we learn to simply acknowledge them and let them pass. This act of detachment doesn't mean ignoring our thoughts. It means creating the space to choose how we respond to them. Through meditation, we cultivate mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in the moment. Mindfulness brings clarity and calm into our daily lives, allowing us to approach challenges with a peaceful heart and a clear mind. It's not about achieving perfection or quieting the mind completely. It's about giving ourselves the space to rest and recharge, to reset in the midst of a busy day. Even just a few minutes of meditation each day can make a profound difference. It's like giving your mind a moment of peace, allowing it to relax and reset so you can move through your day with more focus and balance. Have you ever tried meditation before? If not, why not give it a try today? Start with just 5 minutes. Find a quiet spot, sit comfortably, and focus on your breath. Let go of any distractions and simply be present with yourself. Don't worry about doing it perfectly. Just notice how your mind feels after a few moments of stillness. Do you feel more calm, more peaceful? Are you able to approach your day with a clearer mind and a lighter heart? Meditation doesn't have to be complicated, but it can be life-changing. By making time each day to sit in stillness, we open the door to a deeper sense of peace and happiness. And the best part, it's always available to us whenever we need it. So why not start today? Take a moment to pause, breathe, and find peace within. 9. Practice self-discipline. Self-discipline is often seen as a tool for achieving success or sticking to a routine. But have you ever thought of it as the foundation for living with integrity, peace, and happiness? The Buddha taught us that true peace comes not from external circumstances, but from how we align our actions, words, and thoughts with our highest values. When we practice self-discipline, we create a life that is not only meaningful, but also in harmony with who we truly are. Self-discipline is not about rigidly controlling every aspect of our lives or suppressing our desires. Instead, it's about being aware of our impulses and making conscious choices that align with our deepest values. It's about acting with kindness, honesty, and mindfulness, and avoiding actions that bring harm to ourselves or others. Have you ever noticed how much peace you feel when you make a decision that reflects your core values, as opposed to acting impulsively or out of alignment with your principles? It's like the difference between feeling conflicted and feeling at ease with yourself. The practice of self-discipline allows us to create a life of purpose. When we have control over our actions and thoughts, we don't just react to life's challenges. We respond with clarity and intention. Self-discipline helps us make decisions that are in our best interest, rather than giving in to momentary desires that can lead us off course. It's in those moments of self-control when we choose patience over impatience, kindness over anger, or focus over distraction that we create a deeper sense of inner peace. Take a moment to consider an area of your life where you might need more self-discipline. It could be in managing your time, emotions, or thoughts. Do you find yourself procrastinating, letting negative emotions guide your actions? or allowing distractions to pull you away from what truly matters. Choose one small action today that reflects your values. It could be as simple as setting aside time for something meaningful, expressing gratitude instead of frustration, or focusing on one task at a time. These small steps may seem insignificant, but they build a foundation for a life of integrity and purpose. Self-discipline is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about choosing to live with awareness and intention every day. By practicing self-discipline, we create space for greater peace, clarity, and joy in our lives. So what's one thing you can do today that will bring you closer to the person you want to be? These 9 Buddhist teachings offer us a powerful roadmap to lasting happiness and peace. When we embrace mindfulness, compassion, simplicity, and self-discipline, we begin to transform our lives from the inside out. It's not about looking for happiness in the outside world or chasing fleeting pleasures. Instead, it's about cultivating peace and joy within ourselves, allowing these qualities to naturally radiate outwards. True happiness isn't something to seek. It's something we nurture from within. As we incorporate these teachings into our daily lives, we create space for a deeper sense of fulfillment, one that transcends external circumstances. Life will always present challenges, but by applying mindfulness and practicing compassion, we can navigate these challenges with grace and clarity. The more we practice these principles, the more we realize that true happiness has always been inside of us, waiting to be uncovered. It's a gentle reminder that we already possess the peace we seek. We just need to make room for it. Take a moment today to reflect on these teachings. Which of these principles resonate with you the most? How can you start integrating them into your life right now? Maybe it's through a moment of mindfulness or an act of compassion, or by simplifying your daily routine. Start small, and with each step, you'll feel a shift toward a life filled with more joy, peace, and clarity. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these teachings and how they've impacted you. Please feel free to share your experiences in the comments below. I'm excited to hear from you. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more insights into Buddhist wisdom and how to live a peaceful, fulfilling life. Wishing you a peaceful and joyful journey ahead.